And welcome. Today I'm going to tell you about 10 more most valuable cassette tapes from my huge cassette tape collection. I'm a big fan of cassettes, and let's just get started. First one on the list here is this Ramones Pleasant Dreams import 1981 Argentina cassette tape. This one is pretty cool. It's got the old paper labels, as you can see. Very cool. This one, you'll probably find it for around 20, 30 bucks. But pretty cool import. Ramones, Pleasant Dreams. Arguably the forefathers of certainly punk rock in general, but pop punk for sure. Now, the next one is, of course, my favorite band, Devo. Now, this was a very special limited edition cassette single of a live song, very early days live song that Devo performed called Nutty Buddy. And this song was not released anywhere else. So there was this cassette single that was given out to the first 100 ticket purchasers to the devotional 2015 event, which is the Devo fan convention that happens in Ohio most every year. So this one here, the Nutty Buddy Devo cassette single, usually goes for around 30 bucks online at the most. Now, moving right along, one of my favorite synth pop acts from the 80s. Very obscure act called Hillary. Now, Hillary put out this short EP called Kinetic in 1983. It was on cassette and vinyl. Never was released on CD, unfortunately. But I love this. It's one of my favorite synth pop releases of all time. Every time I meet somebody who's into 80s new wave or synth pop, I always turn them on to Hillary Kinetic. And I've never seen this cassette tape except for this one time where I bought it. I haven't seen it listed online. I'm going to guess this would go for around 30 bucks if a Hillary collector wanted to buy it. Again, really hard to find. I've never really ever seen one except for that one. Now, the next one is another great one from the early 80s. This one's from 1980. It's by a guy who called himself Clark Kent, who many of you know is a drummer from the Police, Stuart Copeland. And he released this Clark Kent record back in 1980, like I said. And this is a sealed copy of it. And he played all the instruments, of course, wrote all the music, sang everything. Great stuff. I really loved all of Clark Kent's solo stuff. And this is super hard to find on cassette. I would guess that this would go for between 50 or more dollars if a Clark Kent collector wanted to find this. And I believe the CD version of this is also very hard to find. It was a reissue that came out years later, but Clark Kent in general, great stuff and hard to find. Next up, we have synth pop legends Craftwork with their Autobahn 1975 album here. And this is the early pressing on the Vertigo label with paper labels. Really cool, excellent condition. You could expect to pay anywhere from 50 to 60 bucks for this if you found it online, especially in this pristine condition. Very cool there. Craftwork, when I first heard them when I was a kid, changed my world, got me thinking about robots and synthesizers and all that stuff. Now, let's get on to some punk rock. This next one, the Minutemen. Great band that I started listening to way back in the day when I first discovered bands like Black Flag and Dead Kennedys. Minutemen were one of those bands, and this cassette called My First Bells was a really, actually pretty long tape. I think it was like a 90-minute tape if I remember correctly, but long tape, lots of music on this. Unfortunately, my copy, this one that I've had since I was a kid, no longer plays, but I still have it. If you find one in playing condition, you could probably pay $70, $50 to $70, I'm guessing, for this very rare Minutemen cassette. But My First Bells, love it. I've always loved the artwork, and glad I still have it, even though mine doesn't work, which is kind of a bummer. Next up, more early punk rock, very early. This is the Saints with their album I'm Stranded. And this label, GRT, often put out their cassettes in these cool blue cases and blue cassette shells. Very cool. Now, if you wanted to find this original 1977 cassette release, you would probably pay between $50 and $80 for that right there. Moving right along. Do you love cassettes as much as I do? I hope so. Zig Zig Sputnik, another synth pop favorite of mine. This is a very rare demo style tape of their 12-inch remixes. It's hard to see there, but you can see there on the corner there, it says the 12-inch mixes. And you see it's just a blank cassette with no graphics, really demo looking thing here. This came out in 1986. I would expect this to go for $100 or more. I believe this came directly from the band and their management in the early days. Again, Zig Zig Sputnik, the 12-inch mixes 1986 cassette. Expect to pay $100 or more for that. Now, 2 more to go. This next one is so super cool. You ready for this? Get ready. Take a deep breath. Okay. Motorhead, No Remorse, the original 1984 cassette in the leather case, absolutely mint condition. I got this from a record store who was going out of business a few years ago. They had been around since the 60s, really, and this had been in their store, unplayed and unpurchased, since the 80s, and they gave it to me. And I've only opened it once. I've only unhinged this button once, and I don't want to do it again because those things wear out and rip pretty easily, especially at this age. So I'm not going to open this, but as you can see, it is so cool. Motorhead, Lemmy, rest in peace, No Remorse, leather cassette case. You could expect to pay $150 or more for this, especially in this condition. I would expect this to go for closer to $200 or more. Motorhead, No Remorse, dig it. Right, so this is it. The last one in this series of 10 most valuable cassettes from my collection. Now, last time I did a video like this, the very first video I did on the 10 most valuable cassettes in my collection, I ended the whole video, of course, with the most valuable cassette, and it was a cassette by a band called Mojosha. Mojosha was a band formed by Ben Folds, very popular pop singer, Ben Folds 5. This was his band when he was in North Carolina, and I kind of tell the story about this tape in the first video. But this one here is really hard to find. It's an EP called Party Night that Mojosha put out. I believe this was 1988. And I had another cassette by Mojosha that was put out around the same time, 89 or 90, called Shut Up and Listen to Mojosha. And anyway, I've had these for a long time. I got them from Ben Folds at a party years ago. And I kind of loved them for decades. And I put them on Discogs for an exorbitant amount of money. I think last time I did a video, I expected that these would go for $300 or more. But I said I really wasn't interested in selling them for that. Long story short, I got an offer for not this tape, but the other tape, Shut Up and Listen to Mojosha. Sold it for, let's guess. Anybody have any guesses? I sold it for $666 plus shipping. So I'm going to guess this one now, rather than being worth $300, I'm going to guess that this one is worth $666 or more. So there is my video on more of the 10 most valuable cassettes in my collection. I'll have more videos like this coming up. Please hit the subscribe on my channel, hit the like button on the video. That always helps the YouTube magic happen. And thank you guys. May the rock and roll gods bless you as they have blessed me. See you later.